For today's discussion, I'll be looking at the development of Roman Catholicism in Bardstown, Kentucky. I'm standing inside the Basilica of St. Joseph Proto-Cathedral in Bardstown, Kentucky. The diocese here at Bardstown was the first Catholic cathedral west of the Allegheny Mountains. Benedict Joseph Flaggett was the first bishop whose territorial jurisdiction or diocese stretched from Detroit to New Orleans, a rather expansive territory. The importance of the Roman Catholic Church in Kentucky was in the efforts to establish a church in the western lands as other denominations were already doing. John Dykdale writes in his book, Frontiers of Faith, Bringing Catholicism to the West in the Early Republic. He says, from Maryland to Pennsylvania, westward to Ohio, Kentucky, and beyond, certain early priests stood out in their work because they embodied the assertiveness, optimism, and conservative traditionalism elected by the Trans-Appalachian frontier. Catholics were migrating from Maryland as early as the 1770s and made settlement right here in Nelson County. Many were coming because of financial problems stemming from the Revolutionary War. In 1775, led by Basil Hayden, a group of pioneers left Maryland and traveled to Pittsburgh. From there, they made their way down the Ohio River on flatbeds over 400 river miles until they reached Maysville. From Maysville, the settlers went on foot. Out of fear of Indian attacks, they passed through Bourbon, Lexington, and Harrodsburg. Their destination was Goodwin Station. After reaching Goodwin Station, the men moved on to Pottinger's Creek to establish the first Catholic colony. This settlement in Nelson County was significant because it would last, and more Catholics would continue coming into the area, helping Bardstown secure the first Catholic cathedral. The first Catholic Mass happened in 1787 by Father Whalen. A church was built in 1792, the first Catholic church west of the Alleghenies, and soon Bishop John Carroll would send more priests to aid the parish in Bardstown. St. Joseph's was given the title of Diocese of Bardstown in 1808, which meant it was approved by the Bishop of Baltimore under the permission of the Pope in Rome. St. Joseph's was elevated to a cathedral when Benedict Joseph Flaggett was named bishop. The construction of this church started in 1816 and completed in 1823. Today it is called a proto-cathedral, which means first after the diocese was moved in Louisville in 1841. Protestant churches were aware of the growing number of Roman Catholics and were concerned. In 1832, Hyman Beecher delivered a series of lectures called A Plea for the West. In this series, he calls for actions against the great threat of Protestantism. That threat was Roman Catholic Church. Beecher's language was strong and may have attributed to some violent events against the Catholics. Beecher in his lecture wanted no harm to come to the Catholics. Beecher even mentions that they have not forgotten those who were martyred during the Reformation. In 1855, far from the publication of Beecher's book, there was anti-Catholic sentiments would rise up again. On August 6th, Election Day, rioters went to immigrant neighborhoods where Irish and German Catholics were killing 22 and injuring many more. Despite these actions against the Catholics, church membership was on the rise. Janie Franco, in her book Roads to Rome, the antebellum Protestant encounter with Catholicism, stated, despite continuing and widening spread antagonism to their faith, Irish and European Catholics continued to immigrate into such numbers that by 1860, with approximately 3.1 million adherents, their church represented the largest single religious body in America. However, in the state of Kentucky, that would not be the case. Protestant would still be the predominant religion of choice, except around the river counties of Nelson County, where I'm at today. Religion in Kentucky is a prime example of diversity and reform. The tension continues between Protestants and Catholics. Over time, these tensions would give way to other issues in Kentucky, such as slavery and family feuds over land.